This is the 2020 11-inch iPad Pro, the most powerful, not a computer as I'd like to call it, the tablet in its own league, the second most looked after device after my smartphone, and the perfectly proportioned tablet that fits in any backpack, satchel, and sling bag. Yet, the item that I'm saying goodbye to, and for a few good reasons, which I'll explain later on. Hey, Iskren here, but feel free to call me E. Before I say goodbye to this 11-inch iPad Pro, or the Mini Pro as I'd like to call it, it is only fair to share with you why I think this tablet in its 11-inch variant is special and why I plan to come back to this form factor in the future. Let's start with my very first observation from when I switched to the 12.9 inches to the 11 inches last year, realizing that this was the most powerful device in this size. At that time, I said that before the M1 MacBooks were released, at the moment when the A12Z Bionic chip that was part of the iPad Pro was working smoother than any other, not just a tablet, but computer on the market. To understand what I mean, you can check YouTube or Google on how many people built their own setups around the iPad Pro because of the app versatility, and most of all because this tiny thing was able to outperform pretty much anything else that comes close to this size. Towards the end of last year, two events cast a shadow over the iPad Pro, however. One was the release of the iPad Air with its 5nm chip, and second, it was the bomb that Apple dropped with the M1 chip. Now at that point, the iPad Air was really the tablet to recommend, being so close to the Pro when it comes to the smaller variant, performance and functionality. Yet the Pro would still stand out when we talk storage above 256GB. From the two events, the M1 was really the one that personally confused me, because after I got rid of my bulky 16-inch MacBook Pro, I sort of stopped using the iPad Pro for a good month, and I even considered selling it because I was that much bedazzled by the M1 MacBook Pro. After the honeymoon period, however, I came back to the iPad Pro and I still reminded myself why I love it so much. First off, the size. The 11-inch iPad Pro has a smaller footprint than any other iPad there is. It has more petite footprint than any other Apple laptop for that matter. It is perfecto for pretty much anyone, and it fits any occasion and need. It is not too heavy and it's not too cumbersome and can rest in most bags unobtrusively, especially if you don't carry the Magic Keyboard. Paired with the paper-like screen protector, I love using the 11-inch iPad Pro to jot down notes and journal my days when I unwind at night. In case you're interested, you can check out 10 of my iPad Pro use cases to really grasp the versatility of this device. And by the way, if you end up enjoying this video, subscribe, because why not? The iPad Pro is an industry standard when it comes to display quality and refresh rate. Even the 16-inch MacBook Pros can offer such combo with almost 90% screen-to-body ratio and the new standard when it comes to even bezels. This design approach is evergreen and recognizable. Throw in the high refresh rate of 120Hz and there are almost no real competitors out there. Up to a month ago, the 11-inch iPad Pro was the most powerful tablet that comes in such small package. Benchmarking it performs better than i5 and even i7 machines and the majority of the mainstream laptops out there. Benchmarking it, however, doesn't give this little guy justice. It's the fluidity and the butter-like experience that makes this device feel magical. But you can't really call an iPad Pro without talking about the Apple Pencil. The Pencil is what turns the iPad Pro into the best drawing tablet there is. To this day, the Apple Pencil is the most desirable and accurate accessory that can be used for sketching, drawing, and all sorts of professional work. With the addition of the magnetic attachment and charging, this almost realistic digital pencil is always 100% available to be unleashed. Notice that most people who sell their iPads don't sell their pencils. The battery life on the 11-inch iPad Pro is as good as your smartphone battery. Sure, you won't be using it for that many carrier calls throughout the day, but even if you rely heavily on the tablet to do your work, it will easily last you an entire day with the need of plugging it in the evening. The rated 7 to 8 hours of usage is as expected, and thanks to the 18-watt charger and the smaller form factor, it tops up rather quickly. Just a side note, I still haven't found a real use of the Lidar sensor and the back camera setup for that matter. I'm sure that there are professionals out there who rely heavily on the AR and camera capabilities, but I'm not one of them. The front-facing camera is more important because it is used a lot for meetings and FaceTime calls. That camera remains my favorite, and for that reason I prefer to use the iPad for any sort of digital get-together. I only wish it was placed in landscape instead of portrait, since in many of the use cases and considering most iPad accessories, when in meetings the tablet is almost always horizontally positioned, which doesn't really represent you in a good way at the moment. So being undermined by the iPad Air and the M1 MacBooks breathing down its neck, both the 11-inch and the 12.9-inch iPad Pros were destined for a meaningful upgrade because this sort of cannibalism couldn't continue further. This is where my decision of selling my 11-inch iPad Pro comes into play. I am sure that with the release of the new M1 iPads, this wouldn't come as a surprise to you, but what may be a bit different this time around is that I'm going back again to the 12.9-inch version. I know, I've praised how much I adore the 11-inch iPad Pro because of the form factor, but since that last video, the M1 MacBook Pro came along and it became my other portable powerhouse. This move made my iPad less as a desktop replacement, using it with a magic keyboard or having it docked in a setup, and more like an iPad on its own. I began carrying the iPad as it is, with maybe a nice case or stand accessory and a pencil. No keyboards this time around because for that I could always grab my laptop. So having that in mind, I thought I might take the plunge again and get the larger iPad and use it as a tablet only. That reason was firmly backed up by the fact that the 2021 12.9-inch iPads, unlike the smaller variants, come with the first ever introduction of mini LED technology in the display, and this is this is the first in Apple's segment, which on its own is like having a miniaturized Apple XDR display in my bag. Also, to tell you the truth, I have really high hopes for WWDC and the introduction of iPad OS 15, which might bring an even deeper integration of iPad and Mac OS, like proper external display support and sidecar features on steroids. Why am I saying all that? Unlike the iPhone 11, which is an older model that can live side by side with the latest 12, the 2020 iPad Pro is already discontinued and will no longer be available for purchase through the standard channels. However, this is a perfect opportunity to get a second-hand one or a new one through side channels or refurbished where available, because as awesome as the M1 iPads will be, this 2020 A12Z compact monster will serve you well for years to come. So I am saying goodbye to my 11-inch fella here, but I'm not saying goodbye to the form factor for sure. I am fairly confident that I will come back to the smaller iPad at some point. Until then, the iPad Air 4 is always easy to recommend. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out my iPad playlist here, and if you have any questions, you can list them in the comments below or ping me on Twitter. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is Z, over and out.